Back in open session already. First thing on the agenda is taking positive steps of service award.
I am going to turn this over to Adria Schrader, and our people aren't here.
Can we still do this?
Yes, we sure still can, absolutely.
I'll be in a picture maybe next time.
Well, just take your picture.
Yeah, we'll just.
All right, so the School District of Lodi would like to recognize Crystal Kurt and Heidi Hargis for the Taking Positive Steps of Service Award. These nurses have been our COVID testers at the site since late 2021. These individuals have a heart for our community by not only helping provide COVID testing, but also a positive connection with our families and students. Many have commented on how helpful and supportive Crystal and Heidi are to work with. They have been friendly faces during very difficult times. Crystal and Heidi are hardworking and dedicated. This was shown during January and February of 2022 when those COVID testing lines were 1 to 2 hours long. They braved the rain, sleet, snow, and the hot summer days when asked to perform nursing tasks in the very extreme Wisconsin weather. As our COVID testing site closes in April, we would like to recognize Heidi and Crystal for their service to the Lodi school community. I wish they were here to receive.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you want me to take that now?
Yes.
No presentations tonight. Public input. Purpose of the public input agenda item is for citizens and staff of the School District of Lodi to provide comments on any agenda item or to publicly address the Board of Education on items that pertain to school business. Portion of the meeting during which the comment of the public is invited shall be limited to 10 people unless extended by a vote of the board prior to the beginning of the public input portion of the meeting. The amount of time allotted for each speaker will generally not exceed 3 minutes. If the speaker has questions for the board, they'll be duly noted and responses will be provided in an appropriate manner. But the board cannot respond to individual questions or individual comments as part of the public input agenda item. As an additional reminder, the board cannot take action on any item that is brought forward during public input session or on any item that was not posted on the meeting's agenda. If you are providing comments, we would merely ask that you please come to the microphone or the table here, and state your name and municipality of residence. Sue Miller. Hello.
Thank you, and good evening.
Tyler's putting your timer over there, so.
No, you gotta restart it. And I'll warn you, it's a little bit over 3 minutes. I timed it tonight, unless I talk really fast, but I wanna get the message across. I am a member of the Lodi Community Action Team and have been a member since it first was founded over a decade ago. I became involved with LCAT because I was a concerned parent of 4 children who all attended Lodi schools. I was worried and scared for my children because I knew that students, adults in our community were using drugs and alcohol at an alarming rate. I wanted to be involved as a community member that could not only help educate my own children about the dangers of drug and alcohol, but to also educate other children as well. Over more than a decade, LCAT has been instrumental in changing policies and ordinances in our community that have ultimately benefited the children and our Lodi community. In the world of prevention, the change process is usually slow and prevention efforts take time to see results. However, LCAT has been able to make significant changes in our community during their tenure in Lodi. They have provided training for local businesses to monitor ID so that adolescents don't get as much access to alcohol, cigarettes, and vaping devices. LCAT also hosts National Night Out and a parent display called Hidden in Plain Sight that helps parents identify what are commonly used to secretly store drugs, alcohol, and vaping devices. I am very appreciative that LCAT has gone to such lengths to educate our community and parents through these efforts. LCAT has also worked closely with law enforcement over the years to educate parents and community members on what drugs are available in our community and the dangerous side effects of each. As parents, grandparents, and community members, we were made aware of what to look for if a child is using or bringing drugs into our home. The membership of the LCAT team changes from year to year, based on what community members can dedicate their time and energy to the team. Every year, there is a broad representation on the LCAT team, including representatives from local churches, the rec center, Lodi Police, county law enforcement, the medical clinic, local psychiatrists, therapists, school nurses, crew, school staff, school board, and community members, just to name a few. The broad cross-section of representatives from our community were able to work together to improve our community so it is safer for all children. I am not surprised that people do not know what LCAT does and therefore are not supportive of their purpose. I have always believed that if you do not know enough about a community group or topic, then you need to educate yourself whether or not to be supportive. LCAT is responsible for amazing work in our community. Over the last decade, we have seen significant decrease in drug-related incidents in Lodi. Drug and alcohol will never be completely eliminated, but through LCAT's prevention efforts, we have been able to significantly decrease drug use in our community. Can I go
Another
another
sentence or
minute?
two?
Pardon?
Another sentence or two?
I have 2 short paragraphs.
It's a lot.
I am disappointed in those who are not supportive of LCAT's efforts. Many of you weren't part of the community when our drug problems were more severe, when the drug jails were going on in our local parks, and we saw students die from drug overdoses. LCAT made this community aware of the severe drug problem, and it took community efforts to help to make changes that were needed to make Lodi a safer community for all our children. I understand that LCAT trailer has been a topic of discussion recently. One requirement for use of the LCAT trailer is for the family who uses it won't serve alcohol at their event. So because some families do provide alcohol at family events, they may not be interested in the trailer. I understand you have a difficult fiscal decision to make, but I urge you to consider the long-term positive impact LCAT has had on our local community. I urge you to support LCAT's purpose, and to also support them financially in your coming year. And thank you for allowing me to go over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Monica. Built-in grandma. Name and then
Oh, sorry.
municipality, just done the same, sorry.
Sure. Monica Simpson, OP. Is that good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So thank you for letting me come here tonight and talk. I want to address the whole board about a word that was used at the last meeting. The phrase G/DAMN, and I think you know what I mean, was uttered in annoyance and perhaps anger by one of you in addressing a certain matter. This comes from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, Article 2, Section 2. Among all words of revelation, there is one which is unique, the revealed name of God. God confides his name to those who believe in him. He reveals himself to them in his personal mystery. The gift of a name belongs to the order of trust and intimacy. The Lord's name is holy. For this reason, man must not abuse it. He must keep in mind silent, loving adoration. He will not introduce it into his own speech except to bless, praise, and glorify it. I have taught religious ed in the Catholic Church in this town and elsewhere. One of the commandments is you do not take the Lord's name in vain, and to do so is a pretty big deal in my faith. But you might not find that simply doing a deep dive in religion. The phrase is fairly common, and not all Catholics are even aware of how offensive it is to this faith. When I was in high school, people used the term GAY for something they thought was stupid. This was highly offensive language and has since been corrected for the most part. Same with the R word for someone with Down syndrome. You cringe when you hear those things, and you should, and you probably do speak up. Maybe you don't with G/DAMN, but you need to know that you should. I can't judge your heart for not knowing this, but now that you do, please keep it out of the public sphere. If you didn't know this was disrespectful, now you do. And I do know you want to serve all students and to be an ally to Catholic and Christian students. Please do not say this again at a board meeting. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda items. Items on this section will be adopted as a group unless a board member requests a specific item to be removed from consent agenda and addressed separately. We have approval of the minutes from February 13th meetings. We have the vouchers, the payroll checks, direct deposit, account payable checks, ACH payments, and credit card payments. We have 4 fundraiser requests, track and field, selling NCAA bracket buster March Madness cards, baseball fundraiser, another baseball fundraiser, and then a softball for the softball clinic. There are no fundraiser reports. There is 1 field trip request for high school varsity baseball. Committee recommendations for approval, there's 2 for finance and facility, the LGIP, the local government investment pool, to be reopened, and the Columbia County HID card access. Under other, we have the boys hockey co-op agreement renewal and safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of service plan update. Under resignation and retirement, there are no retirements. There are resignations for a 5th grade teacher, high school assistant volleyball coach, middle school track coach, and a high school counselor. Under co-curricular, we have the middle school head track coach, volunteer girls assistant soccer coach, volunteer assistant softball coach, and a German exchange coordinator. Under community program crew, we have 3 lifeguards and then 1 person who works for both crew and pool. Under regular staff, we have payroll specialist. And under personnel other, we have requests for leave without pay for 4 people.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the approval of the softball clinic fundraiser and the tabling of middle school head track coach and German exchange co-coordinator.
I'll second that.
Motion by Angie and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 6-0. Next we have administrative reports from student services.
Yes, thank you. This week is National SEL Week. This is a great time to recognize the work that's being done in social emotional learning across our district. The link that's there, I realize you are not able to click on in this document, but it was sent out on social media. The purpose is to provide information on what SEL is and what it looks like in the school district of Lodi. I'd like to thank all of our staff for their continued work within Pillar 2 of our strategic plan. And I also encourage anyone who has questions about SEL to contact me. My contact information is on that document that went out on social media. Next tonight is unfortunately our youth mental health first aid training that was scheduled in February. Got snowed out, so that has been rescheduled for Monday, March 20th and Tuesday, March 21st. There will also be trainings on Saturday, April 22nd and Friday, June 9th. Those are both full-day trainings. The registration form is listed here for the March dates, and it can also be found on Facebook and in Peach Jar. And finally tonight, our special education staff came together at our last professional development day. We had 2 main topics to discuss. The first was an overview of the new look in Infinite Campus. This is the new way that our special education teachers and related service providers are writing IEPs in Infinite Campus. We also planned our spring testing window. Grade level teams came together to document accommodations and start having conversations about assigning proctors, securing testing locations, and all of the things that go along with that. I'd like to say thank you to our entire staff and our leadership team for all of the preparation that they've done for those state assessments.
Thank you. Lodi Primary School.
Yeah, good evening. So, starting with Pillar 1, Preparing for the Future, we have a program called Reading Pals that is going on. We have 3 individuals from the community that are coming in to read with some of our students that just needed extra practice. So, just want to showcase that, and if there's ever anyone that is interested in being a reading pal, we would definitely take more of those volunteers. Pillar 2, Nurturing the Whole Child, we're beginning to discuss things for class placement for next year, and we have an optional parent survey. They can give us a little bit more information about their child or just some different needs, just so again, it can be one of the pieces for the puzzle of figuring out class placement. And then Pillar 3, just want to highlight a student artwork. Tekla Nimmo, she was doing the February Youth Art Month, and one of the students that was celebrated was Ingrid Cloyd, and there's an art picture there that she was showcasing there. So just want to highlight that.
Thank you. Anna, sorry, I'm blanking out. Anna is not with us tonight, so we won't have a student board report. The Lodi Elementary OSC School.
Yeah, thank you. For a couple of things to highlight. First of all, in Pillar 1, really our focus on effective instruction. And so a couple of things I put in there for you to think about as we kind of talk about as a building as well is it's just a cycle of how we get students to grow. And so that kind of hopefully helps you kind of think about what we're talking about as a building. And then also our innovative community connections just highlighted some of the things that are going on for our students, the opportunities they have to connect with the community outside of our building, and also the community coming to our building, the girls basketball team, the canine officer, and then some trips to our capital, and then district workforce. So the month of February can be a long month in all of Wisconsin, and so we tried to figure out some ways to try to encourage staff to keep working hard and keep positive and try to support them in the work that they do. I'm very proud of the staff and the work that they do every day, but the great growth that we've been seeing is a great testament to them.
So Amy and Eric, where do you find the humorous gentleman on Wednesdays who you put in there?
This was Mr. Shinneman's idea that he
Okay.
let me borrow some.
Okay.
That's why I didn't talk about it, let him, yes, Mr. Shinneman can probably answer that.
What's that? What was the
If
question?
you click on that Wednesday link to that humorous thing, it's,
Yeah, humor helps. Yeah, we tried to find some.
no, but that guy, the gentleman who does it is quite humorous. And so he seems like a real teacher or a real person.
Oh,
Those
there
are
were
real
some.
experiences that he's had.
Yeah, some of the videos were of a principal.
Principal, that's what it is, okay. It's very humorous. Lodi Middle School.
Yeah, good evening, board. So first thing on my report is just honoring the students of the month for January, which were honored for respect. And students that are respectful in all aspects make the Lodi Middle School a safe and positive place for everyone, including our staff and all their students. We had an outrageous outing last month where we had a movie night, and we had 112 kids go. That's about a third of our school. They went up to the Portage Theaters, and I think they saw Puss in Boots, and I think they said it was a great time and a great turnout. We had some students that participated in the Greater Dane County Writing and Cartoon Anthology Project, and we had several students that placed in the top 10 within their category, and there was over 450 students across other districts. So I want to say congratulations for Manny Pino, Angelique Erickson, Fernanda Oyas, and those are all middle schoolers, and then Kaylee Faber is an elementary school student that also placed in the top 10, and these students will be going to a conference in May to kind of celebrate their writing. And then our middle school forensics, we hosted a meet, and the schools that were there were Lodi, McFarland, Poinet, and Columbus, and there were 88 total students, and 44 of them were from Lodi, so we're really proud to continue our forensics participation, and thanks to Michelle Howe, Allison Juntanen, Sarah Gleiss, and Sally Chapman for providing this opportunity and coaching for our kids. And then, if I go all the way to the bottom, I want to just highlight a community connection that was made by Patty Heinzman. So as a part of the School District of Lodi's Community Connections Partnership, 8th graders at Lodi Middle School had a special guest speaker from NBC 15 today. Morning anchor and reporter Gabrielle Rusk shared with their students her day and day-to-day duties and at the news station, as well as other career opportunities. She gave a presentation, students were able to ask questions, so just a great partnership that we had coming in for that one. And that's all I have for the middle school.
Okay, thank you. High school.
Thanks, Adam. First of all, I did want to recognize a student, and I try to recognize some students and what they do outside of the high school. So the student this month is Connor Scrum. He's a sophomore, and he participated in the Wisconsin State High School Alpine Racing Association Southern Conference for snowboarding. He ended up going to state eventually, and he was 34th out of 61 competitors from across Wisconsin. He was also named the most improved in the entire conference. So I wanted to give a shout out to Connor. The next topic is LHS forensics, and some of the highlights that have happened in the last month or so, or February 6th, we were second place in the Capital Conference Tournament, and you can see some of the individual awards for some of our students. February 18th, we hosted 8 schools at the Lodi tournament, and we placed second in small schools, which was awesome. And then on February 20th, a sub-district tournament at Waterloo. The entire team earned the required scores needed to advance to the district tournament. So they're excited to be moving on, and that is happening on March 13th. Solo ensemble, 60 LHS students participated, which I thought was great, in 40 different events in solo ensemble on February 25th. And you can see some of the extra special congratulations to 14 events that advanced to state. I'll let you read through that. And state takes place at the end of April at UW-Whitewater, so we look forward to those kids going on to state and participating in it. The ACT is tomorrow at Lodi High School, so we're looking forward to all of our juniors coming to school. And I think I'd mentioned last month that close to, I think it's 70 9th and 10th graders will be coming in to take the practice ACT. I really wanted to give a big thank you to Grant Lemke, Josie Kirkpatrick, Elise Kearney, Amy Jelinek. I didn't mention it, but Nick Carls, who has spent a lot of time coming over and working with us to kind of get ready for testing. I feel like we've done more work than we have since I've been at the high school for a few years to get our kids ready. So every week during advisory, we've been giving lessons to our juniors just to get them ready for taking the test tomorrow. So we're excited about that. Spring play, I don't know if it should be called spring because I feel like it's not spring yet, but it's called These Shining Lives. I'm very excited. I plan on attending on Friday, which is the opening night, March 10th at 7 o'clock. It was written by Melanie Marnick, and I know you can read this, but it's going to be a very good performance. One of the things that Beanie Ludlam, our director, said is the students have touched her heart, and she hopes the community will be impressed as she is by the acting performances of the students that are involved. There's a QR code that anyone can click on, and then they can purchase their tickets that way. So for the play and for the musical, over the last couple of years, people can buy their tickets online, which is, I think, very convenient. Many of you probably know that our the individual state wrestling meet took place. I think we take it for granted when our students go to state in wrestling because we're just very used to it. So you can see the names: Owen Breinig, Zane Lick, Kyler Clemens, Mason Lane, Isaiah Groskopf, and Henry Keppen participated at the state meet, with Mason placing 4th and Zane Lick winning his 2nd state title in a row, which was pretty impressive. I found out after the fact that Zane did not get taken down once the entire year, which was very impressive for a high school wrestler. So that was great. So congratulations to all of them. You can see our January students of the month. Our staff does a really good job trying to pick different students every month, so they're going to look different from last month. And then Michelle Poles' Healthy Lifestyle class, I featured them a lot last year, and I want to keep featuring them because the work that they do with our crew program and the Little Explorers is amazing, and when they get together, it's always really fun, and to see high school students with little kids, it's a great experience for both groups. Choir has a really great opportunity coming up here. The Chamber Choir is going to be performing at the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra in a couple weeks here. Actually, it's next week, next Wednesday. And just recently, they had the director come in and work with them. It's a huge honor for them to be able to participate in this. There are only 4 schools in the state of Wisconsin that get to participate. I've got tickets. I'm pretty excited. So that'll be happening next week. And then there are the advocate videos that you can look through. Mr. Marshall is featured in one of them, so I'd definitely watch it. And I do want to mention a couple other things that are not in the report. A mock trial had state this past weekend, and Anna was going to talk about it, but she's not here, so I do want to mention that they placed 5th out of 20 teams. Wow. In round 3, they lost by 2 points to the eventual state champion. So they were that close. They did an amazing job. I was able to go watch them on Friday night for a little while, and they amazed me.
Mr. Jelinek, we actually had 2 students also get top witness awards. So Jade Homewood and Ebony, I'm not sure her last name. So they only give 10, and in every single, there's 6 attorneys in every single round, and they have to rank them 1st through 6th, and you have to get a 1st twice in order to be up front for that award. So huge kudos, and yeah, that
Luda King. Luda King is your last name. Yes.
Yeah, and so that we tied with the team Waukesha West that won the entire state tournament is pretty amazing.
Yes, they did a great job. So.
And when you tie, so there's officiating judge that does not score. There's 2 scoring judges. So when the 2 scoring judges tie, then the officiating judge gets to tip their hat, and they tipped it to Waukesha West. So an incredible job.
I did not know that. but thank you. And then finally, Thai visitors have arrived, so our Thai visitors got here on Saturday night. Paula and Pitan welcomed everybody into their home last night, which was nice of them to do it. So there are 10 students and 4 adults. The welcoming ceremony is during our intervention period on Wednesday, and everybody is welcome to come. It starts at 2:30. Mr. Brynick will be speaking, so if you'd like to hear him speak. And some of the Thai visitors will be speaking as well, so that happens on Wednesday. And that is the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Curriculum.
So as I help support the Community Connection Business Partnership PPG, each month I try to just update you on a few of our ongoing partnerships. Some cute faces there with Blue Star Dairy, and then if you keep scrolling down, you'll see at the middle school, as already referred to, MBC 15 was in, and I was there for that presentation, and it was really wonderful just talking about not just the job of an anchor, but all of the jobs behind the scene that a student could potentially pursue if they're interested in that industry. And then seeing our sheriff, seeing the sheriff here as well was great, the canine. Scrolling down a little bit more, you'll see, go up just a little bit there, you'll see federal funding conference. So I'm not gonna say this is the most riveting conference of the year. I don't attend many conferences, but Adria and myself both attended this one on February 27th and 28th. Try to attend it every year or every other year. This is important information for us as we need to be updated on federal regulations or stipulations related to funding and other things that we need to make sure that the district adheres to. So you can see the various sessions that I attended there and some new learning to help us as we move forward. And then at the end, called the theme compliance. We talked about federal compliance. Well, one of our state compliance pieces is state assessments, and so we have been very busy getting ready. I want to thank all of the principals and numerous staff across the district getting ready for these state assessments, and there are lots of stipulations, let's say from the state, to assure that we do not face any penalties when it comes to giving these assessments. So all the principals have done a great job getting us ready, and yes, we have ACT tomorrow, so it's a big day.
And LCAT, we don't have an LCAT report.
We do.
You're gonna do it, okay.
Yep. So the school board report for March 2023. Paula and Brian conducted the YRBS focus groups with 95 7th graders and 31 8th graders during Ms. Weber's life skill classes. Follow-up questions were asked to the students. They provided valuable feedback pertaining to the survey. This feedback will be shared with a committee that has been developed at the middle school, which includes Principal Pertzborn, Sarah Weber, Kiana Kalewiertz, Josie Kirkpatrick, and Jean Winter, school nurse. LCAT, along with the Stride with Lodi Pride Committee, has been busy planning the May 4th, 2023 event. So far, 20 sponsors have pledged $1,700 for this event, which raises money for each individual building. Businesses who are interested in sponsoring the event can contact committee member Heidi Andrus at her information for more details. The LCAT Lodi Pride Block Party Wagon will be rewrapped this spring. Anyone who lives within the school district can use the trailer. The trailer is to be used for family-friendly and community events. The goal of these events is to bring the community together in an alcohol-free environment. Private events such as weddings, graduations, and birthday parties cannot be supported at this time. LCAT will be doing a presentation at Reach Out Lodi on March 22nd at 1 p.m. The presentation will focus on how the community can secure prescription medications and the role that medication lockboxes play in keeping families safe. The Deterra drug deactivation system will also be discussed. LCAT has worked with Nurse Jean Winter to provide Narcan training to approximately 30 staff members. This training will take place in March or April. Fact update. The FACT group will be meeting with Lodi Marian Girls Lloyd on March 15th, 2023 at the monthly meeting. Mayor Girls Lloyd will speak to the students about her role as mayor and about the current tobacco and vaping ordinances in the city of Lodi. In May, the FACT group will participate in the Lift Lodi event, which will take place on May 20th. The FACT students will be doing litter cleanup in the downtown area and end at Gores Park. The LCAT program coordinator attended a regional training virtually, which was sponsored by the Alliance for Wisconsin Youth. This training focuses on vaping trends throughout the state. The in-depth program was discussed as a valuable option for school districts who have students violate their tobacco policy. The next LCAT meeting is scheduled for March 22nd, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the district office. Hope to see you there.
Thank you. District Administrator report.
I'd like to just recognize Lodi Middle School. Be heading off on their annual Washington DC trip on Sunday, March 12th. They're leaving at 5 a.m., but that's with the daylight savings time, so really it'd be 4 a.m. the day before.
Show up on time.
Bring it in.
Everyone show up on time.
Yeah, right. I want to thank Amy Christensen for all her time and energy preparing for the trip, Mr. Pertzborn, Gene Winter, and all the work they do, getting information ready and getting students ready. There are 65 students and 6 chaperones off to see the nation's capital. What a great opportunity for our students. Secondly, I just want to take a moment, we've heard about it a little bit tonight, about some of the, our winter activities that go on, co-curriculums. I just want to thank our coaches, advisors, coordinators, and event workers for all they do to provide the additional opportunities for our students and families. We could not provide these learning opportunities for our students without these dedicated people putting extra time and effort to ensure our students are afforded these opportunities. This often means many late nights, early mornings, and weekends away from their own family, all for the purpose of furthering impacting the lives of our students. So thank you all for your countless hours, heart-to-heart talks, and just being another positive adult in the lives of our students. And finally, the ad hoc committee that was created by the board to discuss Lodi Community Action Team and bring forth a recommendation back to the board is scheduled to meet Wednesday, March 8th at 4:30 p.m. in the district office.
Okay, thank you. So, President's report. So going back to the play at the high school, it's the spring play and it doesn't get as much, love as the fall musical. It's not as big a thing, but looking in the camera here, it's, please come to that play because those students and staff put in so much hard work. And then the topic of that play is about how people were very mistreated back in the time and how they got resolution on that stuff and people didn't believe them. And the story is a really good story to go listen to too. So. Next we have the regular agenda. So first up on there is the track bid discussion.
Yeah, so bids for track project are on the board agenda tonight. The administration has been working with the Facility and Finance Committee on the board, throughout the design process and bid process. In January, the administration gave the Facility and Finance Committee an update estimate on the track project. These updated estimates were used to show the significant increase in construction costs since the initial estimates were put together for the track project in the fall of 2021. The information was used by the committee to direct the final bid process with a base bid that included redoing the track and all the field events inside the track, fencing, paving, concrete work, and a pad for our bleachers. And then an alternate bid package which include everything from the first bid, but then additional work being done on the field inside the track, redoing the field, putting in irrigation and drainage. In the February 27th Facility and Finance Committee meeting, the 2 separate bid proposals were reviewed by Justin Johnson and Mitchell Oswald of C.G. Schmidt. And Scott Groetzky from Point of Beginning was also in attendance to help answer any questions. The base bid, final price came back at $1,070,000, $499. The alternate bid came back at a final price of $1.5 million, a little over. As a reminder to the board, the initial estimate for this project was $1 million. The committee discussed if the district would be able to cover the additional $70,499. That's in the base bid versus what had been budgeted for the project. At that meeting, Mr. Richter shared data with the members of the committee showing that the increase of the track project would not put the district over the $2.13 million of referendum funds that are allocated for the 22-23 school year. This is due to the district's technology purchases that were scheduled during the first year of referendum actually coming in lower than anticipated. Therefore, if the base bid is approved by the committee, the overall cost of the project scheduled during this first year of the referendum are still within the budgeted amounts. After reviewing that and having that discussion, the Facility and Finance Committee voted 3-0 to bring in the bids to the board and recommend them for approval of the base bid for the track. Facility and Finance Committee members, did I miss anything?
No, we had 2 long meetings and had a lot of discussion about all of that stuff. It was hashed out in a long way.
I make a motion to approve the base bid package for the track project
I'll second that.
Motion by Scott and a second by Terry. Any further discussion on the track plans? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 6-0. School cancellation, instructional schedule and calendar modification plan.
Yeah, so we have experienced a significant number of inclement weather days this school year. I don't have to tell parents that. The district has prioritized in-person learning opportunities for our students by canceling staff professional development days and adding a day to the end of the school year in lieu of having virtual days. I'm going to turn this over briefly to Dr. Carls to kind of share why the district has chosen that route.
Yeah, so the school district of Lodi has prioritized transferring lost school time into face-to-face instruction for our students over virtual days this school year, up to this point, for the following reasons. We recognize that virtual during a snow day, the stress it puts on families, especially those with younger children. The district understands how much stress an inclement weather day, that suddenly that coming upon you all of a sudden, and if you have younger children, to have to help them with a device can be quite stressful, or to have to find daycare where they're going to be able to help with some of that virtual instruction can be stressful. We also understand that some students simply may not engage in the instruction, and so the stress it puts on those students and our teachers to have to reteach them that material the next day or days after. We were able to gather some information during the pandemic and found out that some of our families simply have a lack of internet access. In fact, during the pandemic, we had over 100 families using district hotspots for internet access, and the data for these hotspots, it was free during the pandemic, but we would have to turn that on, and that would come at a cost to the district. And then also just the stress that it puts on staff to convert in-person lessons to virtual lessons. And then finally, also, we do have students in our district who have individualized education plans or English learner plans that have specific stipulations and needs that we have to meet that can be challenging at times to meet in a virtual nature that happens suddenly. All of those things put together are the reasons why we have tried to prioritize, seeing that we had some opportunity to turn those lost days back into instructional days by doing things like canceling staff PD days, and we have to find there are some essential things that we have to get done on those days that we'll have to turn around and try to have happen after school, some additional meetings and things like that. But that's the reason that we have chosen to go that direction up to this point, but we also realize we are at the precipice and we may need to look another direction if we have another snow day.
Yeah, so our staff has been working on putting together plans if we would have to go to a virtual day. But to ensure that we're meeting the instructional minutes for the Department of Public Instruction, our recommendation is that we waive a third day of instruction. We have that time built into our calendar and still have enough minutes. We changed our March 17th collaboration day to an instructional day, change our March 12th collaboration day into an instructional day, May 12th, I'm sorry, thank you very much. June 6th, we add June 6th to the end of the year, so we extended a year 1 day longer. We add 3 minutes to the high school schedule starting next week to accommodate any potential late starts or early releases that still may happen. And at a virtual day, if we have any additional school closings, we will move to virtual days if at all possible. If a virtual day is not possible, we will look at adding minutes to the current school day. We will be very difficult for us to add days to the end of the year. We are now into Tuesday. Wednesday would be the last day for staff. Thursday would be the day for our staff to get all their things together for summer school and get them in the classroom, and we should typically have an open house that night. Then there's Friday, and summer school starts that following Monday, so it would be very difficult for us to add another day of instruction at the end of the year. And due to our shortened summer with our calendar starting early, we can't really push summer school back. And then to make up those 2 missed collaboration days, we require certified staff to document 2 hours of time preparing virtual lesson packets and virtual lessons, so they're ready for an inclement weather day. And then we'll have staff document 6 hours of time outside their contract, working with their administrators, the things that we would have covered on March 16th and in May, and that will be worked out with the administrators or supervisors. Waive an additional 8 hours of time for staff just for all the work and time that they've put in this year. And then to make up for that waived day of personal in-person instruction, allow non-certified staff to use a third PTO day for this day if they still have one available. Our current handbook language only allows for them to use 2 PTO days for inclement weather days. Board has other options, as you know, you've seen a couple emails where we've had people suggest using Good Friday, we've had people suggest using days during spring break, which are really difficult because our staff have, you know, those are scheduled days off and people make plans for those, where those collaboration days, staff are scheduled to be here. And families have made plans, right, around the Easter holiday and over spring break as well. So that's our recommendation moving forward, of how we would handle our inclement weather days. Hopefully, as I've said a couple times, I am very hopeful that we don't have any more, but I'm also a realist. We live in Wisconsin, and we typically have a snow day in March. And we may even have one this week.
So I'll move to approve the instructional schedule and calendar modification plan as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry and a second by Heather. Further discussion?
I just want to say thank you to all the staff and teachers for making this whole plan and giving up your days that you were supposed to be doing stuff for our kids. Yeah. And I just ask that the families try to be understanding of what we're doing here.
And I would echo that. As I was going to say, it's like you guys put together a massive plan of, it's just crazy how much time and stuff that took. So, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 6-0.
I guess one quick question. I know we already voted and stuff, but I'm assuming with the high school, with the
Minutes?
finals too, I know there was some concern because people really plan those vacations right after school gets done. Is there gonna be some,
Well,
if needed?
every afternoon during finals week, we do have makeup time. So if there's like a student that has to leave a day early and is gonna miss the final day of finals, they can make it up before
Okay.
they leave. Or if necessary, even before finals week, if
Okay.
students are gonna
I
leave,
kind of
like,
assumed, I
miss
just
the last
wanted to
couple
mention
days.
it because I know that was a concern of people,
Yep.
so.
District Wi-Fi upgrade.
Yeah, Mr. Potter shared the bids for the district Wi-Fi upgrade with the Facility and Finance Committee. The committee voted unanimously to move to the full board with recommendation for approval of the bid from Skyward for the district Wi-Fi upgrade. So the administration recommends that approval.
Make a motion to approve the bid from Skyward for the district's Wi-Fi upgrade.
I'll second it. Okay.
Motion by Barb and second by Terry. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
CESA 5 contract.
Yeah, annually we have to sign a contract with CESA for them to provide our services, provide services to us. Ms. Schrader, Dr. Carls, and myself reviewed the annual contract with CESA and recommend approval of this contract. Actually, it's a little slightly less than it was last year. And we, 2 years ago, reduced it pretty significantly.
That mostly has to do with what students need and that we're contracting with CESA to come in and provide. So
Exactly,
that-
so
that-
we have.
That number goes up and down based on what services we're accessing.
Yeah, a lot of what we get through our CESA contracts is through students who have individual education plans and services that we don't have, like audiology services or vision services, where it just is not cost effective for us to have our own person. We contract with CESA to help support those students, because we have a legal obligation to support those students.
I make a motion to approve the CESA 5 contract as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Angie and a second by Terry. Any further discussion on the CESA 5 contract? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Passes 6-0. Pledge allegiance at board meetings.
A board member requested that there be discussion about starting each board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. The request was discussed at the Policy Committee, and the committee did not make a recommendation, but voted to bring this item to the full board for discussion.
So I'm the board member who is requesting it. And I guess the reason I was just kind of thinking it would be a nice thing is, I guess personally for me, the Pledge of Allegiance just shows respect for everybody that has fought for this country, who has made this country what it is. And I'm not saying that everybody feels that way, that's just kind of where I'm coming from, and that's why I wanted to ask if we wanted to do it. I actually was just kind of looking stuff up today, and this is really weird because I felt like I wrote this, but I didn't. But it just kind of explains every part of the pledge. So I pledge allegiance means to make a promise. To the flag of the United States of America means we are making a promise to our country. To the republic for which it stands means the people who are Americans living in our country. One nation under God, indivisible, means all the American people are one group and we cannot be broken up. With liberty means we are free to make our own choices in this country. And justice for all means to be fair and have the same rules for everyone. So I know some people do not see the pledge like that, and I respect that. But really, simply, that's kind of a lot what that means to me, and that's why I thought it would be nice to start a meeting, just kind of reminding us that our school is here in a nice free country, and I just feel like it's showing respect to everyone that got us to be here. So that's just my say on it. And I didn't know if we wanted to, vote on it, or if we wanted to make a decision every time in April or May when we get our new board, if it just is a decision that the board wants to make, or how we want to handle it, which is something that I thought would be nice. And I have talked to other school board members of different boards, and the majority I've talked to say the Pledge of Allegiance before, but I know not everybody does, so.
So I'll start. I personally have a lot of issues with reciting the pledge. I don't actually like that we do it in schools or make children do it. Also, I think it's asking people to pledge allegiance to things they may not believe in. And I have probably one of my biggest issues with it is asking people to pledge to one nation under God, because it doesn't define whose God that is.
So Joe, at the high school, most kids don't want to say the pledge and don't say the pledge and bow out from saying the pledge.
I can't say, I wouldn't say most, and I'm not in the classrooms to see it. So the pledge goes over the PA every morning. I sometimes say it, or one of our admin assistants will say it. There are some students that do decline. I don't know how many, but everywhere that I see kids, they're standing. Some of them hands over heart, some of them not, and they'll face the flag. Some of them will say the pledge, some of them will not say the pledge. But it does happen every day at the high school. So I couldn't tell you how many do or how many don't, because I'm not in the classrooms, nor have I ever surveyed our staff to see that. So, but it does happen every day.
Informal survey says they don't appreciate doing it, but that's informal.
And we haven't done it for a while, but Star Spangled Banner used to happen every Friday. We do the Star Spangled Banner, but we haven't done that for a while on a Friday. So.
I would love that too. Have students come in. I would love it.
And choruses come in and sing before. And
yeah.
We do it before athletic events, obviously. So.
Yeah, we talked about that at the committee meeting. Instead of us doing something like that, having students come in and perform, right? So the choir or the guys in ties or somebody like that come in and doing a performance at this board meeting to show the school spirit and stuff like that.
Do we currently do the Pledge of Allegiance in all of the schools?
It's
at the
a
start
law,
of the
isn't
morning?
it, in Wisconsin?
It's required by the state. The state requires us to do it.
Students are invited to stand and share the pledge. That's exactly what we say. You're invited to stand and share the pledge.
Yeah, students can't be forced to do it. They have the option of doing it.
To me, it's very outdated, and I think if we could write a pledge, how we pledge to do what's best for kids, right? And recite that at every board meeting, that would be meaningful. Or the pledge that we take to the state constitution and the federal constitution when we take our oath, making that pledge would be relevant to this board. But to me, the Pledge of Allegiance is a distant thing for this board, right? I understand what you're saying, but it's just not relevant to what we do here.
I was gonna say fine one way or the other, but I think like it puts a board member in a difficult position if they would prefer not to recite it, because it's 7 of us on camera. And so if a board member felt like, I don't wanna do that, then that would single them out, more so than in the classroom of all the students. So I don't know that it'd be necessarily give everyone the opportunity to do it or not. It doesn't feel like that.
We could probably come up with a great pledge of our own around what's best for kids.
I did reach out to our former superintendent, because I was curious, like, if
What
this-
happened in the past?
Yeah, if it happened before, or why it stopped, and to his knowledge, it's never happened in Lodi. They've never done it for a board meeting. In either of his assistants as superintendent, it was never a discussion at the board level. It just never has happened. So I was wondering if there was something happened, like that they stopped,
Yeah.
or, so that's the only reason I reached out and asked him, so I thought I would share that with the board.
Hearing no motion, you want to bring it back up when the new board is elected? And like you said, we have that informal meeting.
Maybe I'll try to
And we make
write a pledge
decisions.
for us then, just to
Yeah.
start out. I think that's kind of a neat idea too. So, yeah, we can discuss it another time. Sounds good.
Next on the agenda is summer school courses.
The courses catalog, or the course catalog for summer school is attached to the agenda. The administration recommends approval of the courses as presented, and Ms. Fossbender and Mr. Shinneman are here to answer any questions the board may have on those. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
It's just that it's a Herculean effort to put this together, and thank you for everybody who does teach these courses.
Teachers for all these people.
Yeah,
And Emily Meyer's done an amazing job putting all the
Yes.
things like our little
Yes.
flyers here together and the website, so, yeah, huge kudos and shout out to her on that.
I love that it has so many, just so many students across the district can be included of all ages. I think it used to be just the younger kids, and now students of all ages, there's many opportunities for them, which
and the diversity of topics is just,
I
it's
wanna
not
take
just
classes.
this go get rid of your kid thing. It's really interesting things that kids want to do today that we're not doing in school. It's really nice. Yeah. It's amazing.
Make a motion to approve the summer school courses as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Barb and a second by Heather. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 6-0. Primary school election update.
Yeah, the primary election results were certified by our Board of Canvassers. The 4 candidates moving to the spring election, as they appear on the ballot, are H. Adam Steinberg, Sarah Ramish, Julie McKernan, Susan Cahill. So we appreciate Barb and her service, and her last board meeting will be in April. So thank you, Barb, for your service as well. But the election will be April 4th.
Policy first reading.
Yeah, there's
I just have to laugh every time this comes up lately.
a few policies on here.
Just a few.
So there's a couple kind of separated out, because some of them are current policies that we're looking at, not Neola policies. So the policy committee made a slight revision to the school board evaluation questionnaire based on the feedback provided at the January board meeting. And so they added to question 13, it now reads, I attend pertinent WASB workshops and meetings, and that replaced the word necessary, because we had that discussion at this level. So there's no action need to be taken. We'll go into our Neola policies as well, but we'll come back for a second read, unless the board has any feedback on it right now.
I just want to mention, policy 167.3.
We're just on 153 yet.
Oh, we're only talking about
We're only talking
right
about that
now.
one. We're gonna talk
Sorry.
about those two, and then we'll talk about the rest.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Sorry, jumping the gun.
Okay. So I'll move on. Policy reviewed policy, our current policy 161, board member roles and responsibilities. And they recommended revision as policy on a 2-to-1 vote at their February meeting. The revision removes the word non-pecuniary from the policy when referencing conflicts of interest. Non-pecuniary is not required to be in part of this policy, according to our legal counsel. And in our Neola conflict of interest policy, which we'll be looking at next month, it's not in there either. And really, non-pecuniary conflicts of interest are defined as interests that do not have a financial component but may arise from personal or family relationships. So, again, they just took out that section. And then if there's any concerns about that, can talk about it now, otherwise it will come back for a second read next month.
It was a 2-to-1 vote. And is the,
Christie was the,
so so this will come back for more discussion?
Yeah.
Because I would be curious to her insights or her reasonings why she didn't vote for that. So that will be something that we'll discuss at some point in the future. Okay.
reasonable?
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, no, that'd be reasonable. I think that's absolutely reasonable. We could
Yeah.
have that discussion at the, because you'll have to vote on it next time, right? So both those policies, so I think that's a reasonable discussion
When
to
will they come
have.
back for
Next
the
month.
vote?
Next month. They'll come back in April.
Okay.
These two will.
And then further on that, is this policy is our policy for this, but Neola has a much better policy for that. And so we're trying to get the Neola policy to take this one out. So this policy would just completely go away, and we would early adopt the Neola policy for this. So that we're working on getting that policy in and corrected, finished, so that it can be in.
Are there differences between this and then?
They're night and day, they're a whole different worlds. This is ours from years back. Neola's is new and modern kind of thing, so, and run through their legal teams and all that other
So
jazz.
why are we seeing this one then?
Because we need something today, right?
Okay.
It's currently our policy, and will be until Neola is all the way done. We have
Okay.
not.
So
had
could
a-
you review for me I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
We're seeing these all as a first read, but they're all gonna come, every single one of them's coming back for second read at the same time?
No.
No.
So thank you for asking that. So the
It's
two
like a
policies,
million.
the two policies that are currently our policies, right? We currently have our Lodi, School District of Lodi, ours policy 153 and 161. They're
Okay.
currently our policy, so they will come back for a second read. The Neola policies, we'll do a first read today through all of these policies, and then we will set them aside. And we won't do a second read till we do the whole Neola policy manual.
Okay.
And then they all will become policy. That way, we're not trying to serve, like right now, we're trying to talk about two different policy
Okay,
books, right? It's just
okay.
confusing, so
That was
we won't be serving two different policy books. The Neola policies are, we're just going through them, we're getting them ready, we'll do a first read, they kind of sit over here, and once we go to a second read with them, they'll all come at once, and they'll totally replace our whole book.
Every single one of them, they're all gonna come as.
How many are
Second
there,
read.
Vince? Just so people know what we've got.
Well, there's
to-
74 on here, or 73
No,
on
but
here today.
in total.
No, I
should be-
know.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
we've
There's
had 'em, this is
73
like
on
the
here
third month
today.
in a row, so.
So,
Oh, there's many more.
Yeah.
there are a lot. I mean, there are different.
And I
We'll
would
just-
invite anybody that's not on the policy meeting to come to these meetings, because what's happening is, this is exactly what they're explaining, we're starting to overlap. And so it gets very confusing, and we're constantly sending Vince back to like, let's see both of them, well, let's figure it out, let's whatever, and they're not in the same order. So if you have questions, that's great, but it would be really smart, as some people have done, to start coming to these meetings if you have any questions, because it's much easier to figure that out when we're bantering it through.
And again, I want to just tip my hat to the policy committee, because they have spent some time, right? They've spent some time, they've read it, and they have nitpicked through them, right? And they take, it'd be real easy just to kind of fly through these, and they don't. They take a lot of time and have read through all these policies, and
Over
so I
and
really
over
appreciate,
and
yeah,
over.
and I really appreciate the time you spent on it.
So
So now, go ahead.
just when are they gonna all come for approval? When is it likely?
It'll be
When that's
probably
done.
fall.
When it's
In the,
done.
okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. It's-
So we've gotten through the bylaws, we've got through the hundreds, we are now at so we don't go quite in order, right? Because
Yeah.
we're kind of doing the easiest ones first, and we'll work our way through. So the policy committee will see the 3,000 level policies at their next board meeting, then we still have 4,000, 2,000, we're not even halfway there.
Okay. So we'll just keep having large chunks of these
We
every
will.
meeting, and then eventually.
Yeah, hopefully not 73. So some of these got brought back, because remember we tabled them last
Yeah.
board meeting because we couldn't read them quite, so we tabled them. So typically, the policy committees ask that we only do between like 40 at a time.
And every policy meeting until this is done, you guys are going over these, right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds fun.
So Vince, why why are we specifically talking about the Exhibit 153 and the Policy 161? Is it because a change was made to it as opposed, there's two of them here, but it sounds like there's oodles and noodles of them? So
yeah.
what are we specifically pulling these out
Yeah.
for you to talk about right now?
So the policies that are down below, the 73, are all Neola policies, which we'll read them once, and then we'll set them aside. The two policies on top, 153, or the Exhibit 153 and Policy 161, are current policies for the School District of Lodi right now. And so they are in effect right now. And if we don't touch them, they will stay as they are. This is that we are going to adjust them slightly. Exhibit 153 for School Board Evaluation Questionnaire, that's currently in our board policy, it's currently our document. That will stay with our policies, but then when we go to the new model, that will also continue, we will attach that back to Neola policies. 161 is currently our policy that we have to follow. You have approved that, board has approved that policy, we have to follow that policy as is. The policy committee is recommending that there is a change to that policy moving forward until we adopt all the other policies. Does that make sense?
I think the other thing is that the Neola one like this hasn't come up yet, and that's what's making it hard.
It did come up, but we sent it back to
Right.
legal
Well,
and changed.
so what you asked for at the policy committee was me to take policy 161 apart and attach it to other policies in Neola. So it's going to get spread to other places in the Neola policy. There's some other policies we're talking about bringing forward, not officially 161, but, so
So
this.
are we talking about 161 because somebody on the policy committee specifically said, I want to talk about 161 and make a change to it?
Yes. Yep. And 153 we're talking about because the whole board, during our discussion, during your self-evaluation, talked about we want to change that word from required or necessary to pertinent, WSB.
So many of our other policies that are currently in effect, nobody on the policy board wanted to bring it to discuss, to make a change to it before the Neola comes into effect.
Correct.
I understand.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then policy changes to our current policies happen, he brings them up all the time, or the state brings them up, or other people bring them up. And so those get
Different
put in
ways.
there too.
So if we're done with those two, 153 and 161, right, we'll bring them back for a second read. Now the other ones, that's from policy committee, met in January and in February and went through these 73 policies, and they're all a first read. And the board members can look through them, and you had a question on one.
I did, and I know that I've brought this up before. The 167.3, the public comment, again, I just feel like we should go back to 5 minutes. We've witnessed the last few times people have public input, and it's really hard for people to express what they want in those 3 minutes. I understand you guys went back for COVID because I was one of those speakers and we were constantly coming in and talking. But now that we're not in COVID times, and I know the policy says that we can adjust it, but I feel like we should say, let's do 5 minutes, and if we have to adjust it to go back, I think that would be a better scenario, just because we don't get a ton of public comment.
No, we have not.
Or public input, so I feel like if, even if we had 4 people, it's 20 minutes. I just don't think that's that much to ask, and I just want people to be able to express.
So you've
Their
been
opinions.
coming to the policy committee to read these, right?
Yeah.
Are you coming to the next one?
Yes, I'm planning
Okay,
to,
okay, so
Yeah.
we can have that discussion there.
because we
right?
kind of talked about it at the last one.
I think 2 months ago, we talked about it.
Yeah.
And the limit is the more important thing than the number of people. So we can have that discussion
Yeah,
then.
because I know that you guys had said, well, we can always change it, but I feel like, well, why don't we have it longer, and then all of a sudden, if we realize, wow, we're in kind of issues that people are really passionate about, we're getting a lot, then maybe we can. And I don't know if the rule, I think the rule is you have to sign like 24
24
hours
hours in advance,
before.
yeah.
I don't know if there's something where we can you know, because sometimes the day of, people are like, oh my gosh, there's a board meeting, and I wanted to say something, and then they can't.
We-
It
They
actually
don't
opens
descend,
at
it opens.
5:30 Sunday night and closes at 5:30 the night of the meeting.
Oh,
opens
okay,
24
good,
hours.
okay.
Opens for
I thought
24
you were
hours.
saying you had to do it like that Sunday, and I was like, ooh, okay, okay, that's good.
Plans it, Charlie.
24 hours, I think.
Thanks, Mo. But yeah, so that's just a thought that I kind of feel like we should try to go back to the 5 minutes, but.
So what you're saying is you want to put that on the policy agenda? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, yeah, that would be great.
Sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Sounds like that would be- Which technically you should do at the end of the meeting, but we're almost there. Anything else on policy first readings? Or were you done, or were you gonna say something?
Nope, I'm done.
Yes, were you gonna say something else?
That was it.
Okay. Second policy readings, there are none. Although there will be some next month. Gifts and donations. Sauk Prairie Memorial Foundation Healthy Life Grant of $2,000 to the Middle School Trail Trekkers Hiking Club. And I will move to accept that with great gratitude.
I'll second that.
I made a motion and Terry seconded it. Anybody with further discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Great program.
It's a great program, and it's great
It
to
is.
be
Popular.
looking for grants, and
Yeah.
getting them is wonderful.
And Sauk Prairie Hospital has always been good about giving us grants, too.
Yes.
If they're involved. Committee reports, CESA 5.
Not a ton. Again, I'm gonna bring up the RTI again. DPI said that they would, considering they're still being slow to just get rid of everything, but they said that they would put that $4 to $5 million toward another project, since majority of the CESAs will not use their RTI program anymore, considering they found out that they weren't doing much. So at least they're saying that. And one thing I thought was a little interesting that was brought up was that CESA events, there's been several, and the state superintendent has been invited and has not attended. So they're kind of disappointed in that.
She was at Friday's superintendent meeting,
Oh, she
virtually.
was? Okay, well, that's good. Earlier this week, they were a little disappointed on that, but hopefully she's just getting her ducks in a row or something, I don't know, but, that's pretty much it. There wasn't really too much. Like I said, I was part of the compensation committee. That was interesting, just because we're trying to keep it in line with what our board is doing. So it was my first time. It was very interesting to be part of, so I was glad I was able to do it, but.
Thank you. Co-curricular.
We talked about some of these, Cheryl did earlier, but I'm going to read their report here in full. Co-curricular report, March 2023, wrestling. Lodi wrestling team hosted team sectionals on Tuesday, February 14th. Lodi advanced to the finals, defeating Winnacone 24-43. Lodi battled hard, but ultimately came up short, falling 32-26 to Prairie du Chien. 6 Lodi wrestlers advanced to the state individual tournament, which began on Thursday, February 23rd. 3 Lodi wrestlers made it beyond the first day, with senior Owen Breinig eliminated on Friday. Junior Mason Lane took home 4th place, and senior Zane Light finished the season undefeated, repeating as state champion. Boys basketball team finished the regular season with an overall record of 8-15 and a conference record of 1-9. They secured an 8th seed in the WIAA playoffs, hosting number 9 Prairie du Chien at home on Tuesday, February 28th. Lodi defeated Prairie du Chien 44-28 and moved on to play number 1 Edgewood on Friday, February 3rd, where they fell 60-44 to end the season. Girls basketball team finished the regular season with an overall record of 7-17 and a conference record of 1-9. Girls basketball team secured an 11th seed and traveled to 6 Edgewood on Tuesday, February 21st. The Blue Devils came up short against Edgewood, falling 54-34 to bring the season to an end. Boys hockey. The Norski hockey team took on Madison Memorial in the first round of the WIAA playoffs on February 14th. Madison Memorial took home the win with a 9-0 victory over the Norskis, bringing the hockey season to a close. Girls hockey. The Icebergs co-op hockey team finished the regular season with an overall record of 4-18 and a conference record of 2-10. They secured a 6th seed and played number 3 Beloit Memorial on Thursday, February 16th in the first round of the WIAA playoffs. The Icebergs came up short in a 2-1 loss, ending their season. Mock trial team competed in the state tournament this past weekend in Madison. They were in the top tier of teams at the state tournament, ending with a 3-1 record. Their only loss being a close one, 186 to 188, to this year's state champions Waukesha South. A special shout out to Jade Homewood and Ebony Ludeking for winning the Outstanding Witness Award. This is a huge honor given to the top 10 students in the state, and to have 2 people win it from the same team is absolutely incredible. Way to go. Forensics on Saturday, February 18th. Lodi High School Forensics hosted 8 schools at the Lodi tournament. The Lodi team placed second in small teams. Additionally, Isabel Whipforth was the tournament champion, first place in Farrago. Talon Tumara earned 4th place in impromptu, and Ember Schmidt earned 5th place in prose. The team also recently completed at the sub-district tournament in Waterloo High School. The entire team earned the required scores needed to advance to the district tournament in March. And then play. This coming weekend, Lodi High School play students will put on a performance of These Shining Lives. This play is based on the true story of 4 women who worked for the Radium Dial Company. Performances will take place on Friday, March 10th at 7 p.m., Saturday, March 11th at 7 p.m., and Sunday, March 12th at 2 p.m.
Thank you. OSC.
So just a couple of dates to remember. So the enrollment period for OSC ends next Wednesday, March 15th. And project night is Tuesday, March 21st from 5 to 6:30.
Board committee reports from personnel.
Okay, the last time, oops, do I have the right, oh, I have policy, hold on. Personnel. So the last committee meeting, we had the Baird presentation about budget projections for 2023-24. So that was really great to kind of get an update on where we are in the budgeting process, where the state is with their budgeting process, and to just go over again for our edification, all those dates and projections. So that was a really great presentation, and we were able to ask a lot of questions about that. And we are also continuing discussions about compensation and compensation models, and then compensation for the next year. So that'll be coming back to the committee to talk about.
Okay, thank you. Curriculum.
So our last meeting, we had Connor come and talk about all of the things that are under his umbrella with, help me out, Nick.
Technical education.
Technical education, total, everything, and it includes, that's what I want, a list of the, what it all is, because I'm not finding it.
So the ag and business and tech ed we
Tech ed.
spoke about.
And some STEAM stuff.
STEAM as well.
Yes. So the part of it that I took away huge is that we really need to clone Connor and those people. Because what happens is so many students want those classes. And they're really good classes, and when we're talking about, you know, the community wraparound and jobs in the community and whatever, these are the kind of classes that are perfect for that. And it's really hard because there's a couple of them that are only almost offered once a year, every other year, because of, in order to get them in the scheduling. So we need more Connors, basically. And there are things to update, different equipment to update, but it really sounded like it's a time crunch. And so much of it is they go out into the community and do things, like I'm just gonna take landscaping because I'm gonna love that this year. And, you know, Connor wants to be with them, but he wants to be with, you know, other students in other places, plus he has to be in the building, just like Jamie, doing their, you know, their class.
Yeah, so
lessons,
Connor's
et cetera.
unique in that he wears many hats. He's, right, the ag teacher, the FFA advisor. He's also our youth apprenticeship coordinator, so he
Yes.
oversees that work-based opportunities for students here in the district.
And we had a discussion about how we're kind of, a lot of other schools, but they are bigger, so it would have to be creative. do a lot more with the medical connection with youth apprenticeship and different things that happen. And we really don't have like a youth apprenticeship program for kids that are interested in going into medical. So we have our CNA program, but that isn't really, you know, a program that's youth apprenticeship all the way around for medical. So that, and then Nick gave us the breakdowns of the different scorecards that we're at with all the different math, reading, et cetera, and where we're at with all the different grade levels, so. It was a lot.
Thank you. And then finance, some overlap with personnel.
Yeah, well, everything that we talked about at facility finance was in the meeting tonight, so.
And the track bids and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Policy, we kind of covered that one.
I feel like we know
I think
policy
we
We
committee
did.
lives fairly well.
Yes, yes, we did. Future meeting item agenda, our future meetings and agenda items. We do not need to go back into closed session.
Yeah, could we go back in closed session?
Sure.
Just for like 5 minutes?
Yes.
I'd appreciate it.
I make a motion to adjourn.
To closed session.
Oh, we
I'm gonna read the whole thing.
I got it. I make a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute sections 19.851 CE and F to consider employment and compensation and performance evaluation data, to consider deliberating the investment of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session.
Second.
Motion by myself and a second by Barb. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Terry?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
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 We're in closed session, 6-0. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.